In my office, the world always felt ordered, each session a predictable dance of words and silences. Then Elliot walked in. He seemed ordinary, another soul adrift in the city's vast ocean of loneliness. His initial sessions were textbook, a troubled childhood, feelings of isolation. I took my notes, offered my usual reassurances, confident in my ability to guide him back to the light. But with each visit, a strange undercurrent began to pull at the edges of our conversations. He'd talk about his life, but his eyes would hold a different story. They were like deep, still pools of water, reflecting nothing back but my own unease. He started describing his feelings of detachment not as a symptom, but as a kind of clarity. He spoke of watching people from a distance, seeing them as intricate little machines, all following predictable patterns. He called it observing the design. It was a phrase that made the hairs on my arms stand up, though I couldn't explain why. One rainy Tuesday, the air in the room felt heavy, charged. Elliot sat across from me, his posture unusually relaxed. He began a story, not about himself, but about a friend. This friend, he said, was an artist. But instead of paint or clay, he worked with endings. He described how this friend would find people who were stuck, people whose stories had lost their way, and provide them with a definitive, final chapter. He spoke with a chilling reverence, his voice a low, steady hum. My heart began to pound a frantic rhythm against my ribs. The clinical detachment I prided myself on was shattering like glass. I looked at him, truly looked at him, and saw past the mild-mannered patient. The friend, the artist, it was him. The news reports I'd half listened to over my morning coffee suddenly flooded my mind. The librarian killer, they called him, for the meticulous, almost ceremonial way the victims were found. My pen slipped from my numb fingers and clattered onto the floor. He smiled then, a slow, knowing smile that didn't reach his eyes. "You see, doctor," he said, his voice dropping to a whisper, "most people are just unfinished sentences. I provide the full stop, a perfect, clean ending." My breath hitched. All my training, all my years of navigating the human psyche had not prepared me for this. I was staring into a void, a place where empathy had been replaced by a terrifying artistic purpose. The room, once my sanctuary of healing, had become a cage. "Why me, Elliot?" I managed to ask, my voice barely audible. "Why are you telling me this?" He leaned forward, the faint scent of rain on his coat filling the space between us. "Because every great artist needs a critic, Dr. Kane. Someone who can truly appreciate the work." He paused, letting the silence stretch until it was suffocating. "And besides," he continued, his gaze locking onto mine, "I've been studying you for a very long time. I find your story particularly compelling." He stood up, the session time over. "But it feels unfinished," he added, his hand on the doorknob. "It's missing a proper conclusion." As the door clicked shut behind him, I was left alone in the sudden, deafening silence. The chill in the room had nothing to do with the weather. He wasn't just my patient. I was his next project. My own story, the one I thought I was writing, was now in the hands of a monster, and I had a terrifying feeling that he had already written the final page.